All right, here we are.
We are live, we think. Welcome, everyone, to Prospect Chase Box Coffee and Rip, episode 47, if I'm not mistaken, with my friend and hobby colleague, Mr. Ron Bartlett.
Coming to you live from Southern California and Northern California. Covering the
Yes,
state.
yes, yes. We are covering the state. Apologies for being a little bit late. We are still learning this platform. Happy to have you on board for what, like I said, our 47th installment of Coffee and Rip. Unfortunately, I have my coffee already, so this will be sober and rip.
And a big glass of water and Rip from me.
There you go. I may skip out for a second and grab some water, but thank you all for watching. We want to give a chance to our folks to hop onto this thing. So let me make sure that I am sending it. Just sent. And yeah, lots to cover. Lots to cover. We'll get to Shohei in a minute, but Ron wanted to have a minute to give two special PSAs, if you will.
Well, first thing, it's opening week. Go support your team. Get out there. Go see a game. Go grab some dirt. Do something. I got the Padres playing Giants here in San Diego, so we'll have that going on here. But that is the number one thing for everyone this week. We're finally back to baseball starting Thursday.
No more of this spring training nonsense.
No. We have a one more nonsense game with Seattle today, and then that's it.
That's so. Second announcement. Yep.
Big news for everyone out there who has T-Mobile. Remember, today's the day you can sign up for the MLB package free with T-Mobile. It's one of the great benefits of being a T-Mobile customer. I'm not. One of my friends is. I ride that package every day. You know, if it wasn't for that, the packages have gotten a little expensive. Now, you'll need to look at your local markets for sure. Here in San Diego, there's a separate package you have to buy in order to get the Padres streaming games to your house now. Now that they don't have they're not tied to the contracts that they were with the prior carriers. So, you know, check your local market, but definitely jump in on that free MLB. It's the way to go. T-Mobile.
That's fantastic.
Today.
Yes. So thank you for that PSA, Ron. It gives me an idea of something we hadn't thought about for. Oh, look at that! Are you doing the rainbow? You should. Maybe a 50 rainbow, 50 card rainbow. But if you have 2 or 3 already, oh, you've got it. Oh, yeah, you have been. So
starting to work it. It's all your fault.
I know. I'm sure there are a couple bucks on eBay, right?
Oh yeah, they're cheap. They're cheap.
Yeah. The tough part will be, getting those super random, like difficult ones. That'll take some time, but it's part of the
vintage
chase.
Stock.
Yeah.
Guy wanted $25. I'm not paying $25 for a team card.
I know. Maybe one of our listeners will pull it and send it to you. No, I'm saying that what you just said gave me an idea that something we should do. We may not have time to do in this episode, but we should maybe we'll see. Maybe an extraordinary session of a Coffee and Rip. We could do and we should do our division breakdowns and predict who will win each division. I think that would be good content.
Definitely.
If we speed up through this Ohtani thing, maybe we can just take a stab at it at the end.
One other thing we need to put on our agenda for this season is Coffee and Rip live from a park somewhere.
Oh, that would be sweet. We've already done live, but not Coffee and Rip.
Yeah, Coffee and Rip live from a ballpark.
Yeah, we have gone to a game together, and
yes, we
have gone kind of live. Yeah, live at a game at Nat Stadium.
Yeah.
So early on Coffee and Rip, this is one of the early. It wasn't even Coffee and Rip; it was just a live. I went live on our Facebook group, but we've grown so much. Now we do YouTube. Now we're experts. You're right.
Yeah, it's our
Um,
second. It's our second
I
one on
know,
this
right? Yeah,
platform.
yeah. No, but this is great. This is great. So let's get to it. Uh, Ohtani, Showtani, like Ron likes to call him. Um, where to start? So I think a good point of reference, or at least something I want to mention early on, when we're talking about like gut reactions from yesterday's event, is first of all, I want to call apples apples. That was not a press conference. I honestly was disappointed a little bit. Hot take alert. Disappointed in the press because I think they need to grow up here. I think the whole issue of no cameras allowed, no phones allowed, no questions to be asked. Why it gives credence to the whole cliche of like this meeting could have been a call, or what's the phrase?
Yeah, you're exactly
This
right.
could have been an
It
email. This meeting
could
could have
have
been
been an
an email.
email. They could have just released the statement.
Ridiculous.
Here's a Tony statement. Let's record it for you. Send it to you if you want to play a sound clip.
Why
But
even be there? I
there
mean,
there
I
was no
know.
reason.
Yeah, I mean, I know why you're there. You there's value in getting Shohei's face and some for lack of a better word, FaceTime with Ohtani and seeing his reaction, facial expressions. I get it. It's coverage. It's like grabbing a paparazzi. How it's a paparazzi grabbing someone coming out of lunch. I
Yeah.
get it. It's his face. You see him, but I don't know. You're a journalist. Like, grow a pair a little bit. Like, it's like, why are we here if we can't ask the tough questions, right? So I'm a little disappointed in how that went about. What do you think about that?
Well, I'd like to see guys there asking the tough questions. Get up there and ask him, Ohtani, Shohei, is a hot dog a sandwich or not? But really, they need to get in front of them. They need to be able to ask questions, but there's too many idiotic questions being asked. So I understand why they did it the way they did for this first one. Let the MLB do their thing. I'm just going to say a very blanket statement. I'm not going to take a question and indict myself or say something wrong.
It lets me to. I mean, I think the most logical conclusion here, if you know about how this works, this was a Dodgers thing. This because if I'm on Shohei's camp, like what's the benefit? Why even have this press conference? Like there is no benefit when there's a legal investigation going on. It's to me, it's the Dodgers. It's a show. It's an appearance to qualm the public's, the fans kind of like need to see Ohtani and to see his face. I think this is mandated by, and when I say Dodgers, I mean Dodgers and MLB, both, right? Because there's no benefit to the Ohtani camp to have this press conference whatsoever.
No. And the thing is, you look what they did with folks like Bauer. When that happened, they didn't have a press conference. They just ran him off. They said, go away. They can't do that with Ohtani. Yeah. They aren't in that position. It doesn't have the same person pointing the finger saying, you actually did this. This is a guy saying, yeah, I may have done this on Ohtani's behalf, but I really didn't. So let me change my story a couple times.
It's crazy. Checking that we are good. Yeah, we are good. Yeah. So okay, let's go. At least, I mean, we've got that out of the way. Our question as to why even have this thing that was supposed to be a press conference. Now, they had it. They read the statement. So what do we think about do we have any more clarity after this quote unquote press conference? Zero, right? I mean, to be honest, I mentioned it in our group, in our private chat. I thought this was going to be a whole bag of nothing burger because you can't say much. Now, I did think, and I don't want to say to Shohei's credit because it's not to his credit, I was surprised of the level of detail that he offered.
He did say, I didn't bet.
I can't comment.
Yeah. He did say, I didn't bet. I don't bet on sports.
He
He
took
flat
some,
out said that.
yeah, he took
You know.
some hardline positions. So I think that works in his favor. I mean, if he's telling the truth, right? This is all predicated on that. This whole defense that they have is the truth, because otherwise they're shooting themselves on the foot. It makes no sense to make those type of blanket statements and being so specific, right, and so adamant about his position. Um, I just haven't. We talked about this in our last. We talked a little bit about this in our last episode. I remember when we last talked, we mentioned that there could be two possibilities. One more plausible than the other. I mentioned that I thought it could be Ohtani, really, and him both doing it, and Ohtani is really a gambler. That one being the least probable. I think by now we, you know, I think we have enough to pretty much believe that that's not the
That's not.
case.
Yeah, I
He would
think
be in
so
a
as well.
world of trouble, having done what
Especially
he
after
did,
making the statement.
especially after making those statements. So I think we can throw that scenario out the door, which leads us to the only other scenario, which is obviously it was this Ipe guy. Now, the huge problem with that still is the contradicting statements from all camps and the sequence and the
Yeah,
chronology of events and statements, and what I like to call the huge leap of faith that Ohtani and his camp are asking us to take. And that is that neither Ohtani and or his agents, his handlers, his money people, his money managers had zero idea, right, that significant amounts of money were being wired systematically, right?
yes.
Not just one, because I mean, if
Nope.
you at his level, I get it. Like 500,000 to him is probably like $50 to me, right? And typically, like his accountant and his money manager, they're not going to be questioning of wire of like whatever the equivalent of $50 to me. I'm not going to take a closer look at something that's like $49.99 or something on my bank statement because I probably bought something, right? But when I see it again and again, especially in a wire, it leads me, and this is what some of the people in the media are saying. Where's the bank's responsibility? You work for a bank, right? Where's the financial institution's responsibility? Where are the accountants? Where are the money managers? Like, you're asking us to take this huge leap of faith that you never knew.
Yeah, and a wire transfer is a serious matter for a bank to do it. Every time you're doing that, you're having to fill out paperwork associated with that transaction. Anything more than $10,000 or more, there's a lot that goes into a single transaction. They go back into the source of funds and the destination for funds to make sure that it's not happening for money laundering purposes, etc. AML laws and things that involve the banking industry. These people would be looking closely at that. Was it going to an illegal source? Are they funding illegal operations? Banks have to look at that. Financial institutions, it's part of our fiduciary responsibility.
It's quite. I think it's fascinating because it just speaks to what probably happened, which is a gross negligence in someone in his camp. People and some of the media, some of the reports have already been put out there that there's an issue with his agent. I don't know if you read about that, but
No, I
his
did not
agent,
see that one.
yeah. So
he only got him 700 million. I'd say there's a problem.
yeah, but there's apparently this skepticism, and there has been always a little skepticism apparently with his agent Nes Belalo or something like that. Apparently he was, from the research that I've done, apparently he's not super well regarded within the industry. Some people describe him as a little shady. I think he was also the agent that had the issue with Ryan Braun, who represented Ryan Braun, and the
Yeah.
whole switching the
Steroid.
P
Yep.
steroid. I mean, and switching the P issue. There was an issue with that. I read some, and I want to read it because I don't want to misquote anyone. But there's this article from Yahoo Finance, I think it is, that mentioned this all begs, and start quote. This all begs the question: did Ohtani's people, including his agent, spokesmen, and lawyers, none who apparently speak Japanese, by the way, great point, really not speak with him through any other than their interpreter? It's true. It shows a stunning level of incompetence. I completely agree. On the side
Hello,
of Ohtani,
this is IP.
yeah.
Ohtani wants you to wire 500,000 to this particular thing.
It says how
does he say it's okay? Oh, hold on, let me say, Ohtani, is this okay?
What does
he
Ipe
says
say?
It's okay.
Put on Ipe. Put on Ipe. So gross level of incompetence. Further illustrating, this is what this article says. Further illustrating perhaps how far Ipe was ingrained in his life. And it goes on to say, however, even if Ohtani ends up being innocent in the eyes of the law, some around the industry remain skeptical about his agent, Nes Belalo. Belalo, whose relationship with Ohtani predates the superstar's debut at MLB, has been a constant presence over Ohtani's shoulder this past 7 years, even in control of what information goes in and comes out. Indeed, Ohtani mentioned his representation's role in this matter multiple times yesterday. He said, the article goes on to say, and this is what I think is interesting, the CIA, he's a CIA agent, has been conspicuously absent from the public eye since the big news. And then it quotes an anonymous player agent saying, his representation has done him no favors, especially after the stories stopped adding up. For many around baseball, Ohtani's camp changing their story invites suspicion, and Belalo has not afforded himself a lot of faith given his role as the agent in another one of the century's MLB scandals, Ryan Braun's positive PED test and the subsequent fallout. Then he says, as summed up by another agent, I expect all this from the same guy that was running around with Ryan Braun's piss.
Yeah.
He says, while Belalo is not alleged to have handled Braun's urine sample at any time, the attitude toward the agent is clear. Belalo has obfuscated before at the highest level on the largest scale. In some minds, he does not deserve the benefit of the doubt. So
there's a lot of doubt.
Clear incompetence. And I don't care that this all happened when they were in Korea. You mean to tell me, and I think some reports have surfaced, I don't know the exact details. You mean to tell me that the Dodgers and Ohtani's camp did not know this was going on for weeks now, if not months? This isn't breaking news to them. I guarantee you they knew some of this already. Perhaps not the Dodgers.
They slow rolled the handling of it. The Dodgers did. They kind of slow rolled it, waited until everybody came back. You didn't want to put the spotlight on while you were sitting there in Korea. Yeah. So they waited till they got back. That was one of the things they did.
It's just it's very odd because I think the logic tells me that the Dodgers did not know. Otherwise, why not release it way early in spring training, right?
Like the Padres did with Tatis and the issue. They released it as soon as they had it.
But I have my serious doubts believing that Ohtani camp did not know this was coming.
Yeah.
So again, that's circling back. That's the huge leap of faith that I think they're asking us to take, and I'm not sure it adds up.
And you're looking at all the erroneous reports, like this Twitter post by Timmy Smokes, quoting Atlanta Braves and sources, employees, etc. It's like, yeah, come on, people. You're running with things. Oh, yeah, he threw this game because they bet 6 on this. The number of runs, earned runs was going to be 6. They bet the over, and Ohtani had 6, allowed 6. The tinfoil
out there. The tinfoil hats are going crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
they're throwing them on. They're working up their conspiracy
yeah,
theories.
yeah,
Next
yeah.
thing you know, they're going to be talking about presidents having elections thrown.
So that leads me to another point, which I think we should tackle. So MLB opened an investigation, right? First, they said they wouldn't investigate, they would wait for the feds. Now they're opening up an investigation. I've always have issues with MLB having this sort of investigative unit slash department because to me, it flies in the face of everything. I think it's a clear conflict of interest
The
that MLB
wolf
gets
watching the
to,
sheep.
yeah,
You
the
know,
MLB gets to quote unquote investigate uh, a player that they have all their chips with, that they are investing everything and anything and everything on, banking the season on Ohtani with the Dodgers. I like how it's clear not in their best interest to
no,
look into what he did. Um, it's clearly a conflict of interest um, to give out a penalty, to penalize. How do you, the fact that they have discretion on this, the fact that they don't outsource this investigation, to me, it's crazy. They arbitrate everything else.
yeah.
Um, I don't understand how they can go about this. And in my opinion, they have to rely on the Fed's investigation. In order for it to have more credence, you kind of have to go with what the Feds find. So I don't know how much of this is rubber stamping or not, but what are your thoughts?
The problem with the MLB investigating is twofold. One, it's them watching their own flock, which is tough in itself. But the other impediment you have in there is the relationship with the poor relationship with the MLB and the MLB Players Association. So they're gonna butt heads. Those two organizations will butt heads over how this is being handled and who's allowed to ask what. Otani's access is controlled realistically by the Major League Baseball Players Association,
Yeah.
not by MLB. So having MLB investigate, it's only going to get you so far. Until you have the cooperation of the MLBPA, you're out of luck.
Yeah. I mean, MLB has to say they're investigating.
Yep.
I thought they had to say that early on.
They waited too long, though.
They waited too long. I understand that. I just have issues with them, with
Policing
an internal
themselves.
unit investigating.
Yeah, it's the same thing you have in communities. That's why they form community watchdog groups to help, police the government agencies rather than allowing the government to police themselves in cases. It's the same thing with this MLB thing.
However, that I could be wrong because I don't have it fresh in my mind if it's under the rules of MLB or if it's a collectively bargained issue in the CBA. The fact that the commissioner has under the rule this much discretion but if it is a collectively bargained issue, that has to change, you would think. So I don't think it is. I think that's more probably under the rules, MLB rules. I don't think it's a collectively bargained matter. But I could be wrong. What else?
You did see Pete Rose today talking about if he only had an interpreter.
That guy does
Pete Rose
and everything
to
be in the limelight. It's crazy.
Still there.
So how should MLB handle this situation?
Well, let's talk about the bigger issue about gambling in sports. So it's not just the MLB investigating it. It's what is the MLB's position really on gambling? And are they going to be taking the same route as some of the other organizations? You look at the NFL, the fact that they've invited all these people to the table. You look at the fact that the sponsorship of all the coverage for these MLB games is by companies that are doing sports betting and parlays and Las Vegas, MGM. They're all backed by betting dollars these days. There's a lot of money being made in the gambling. You look at the NFL has invited these people into their stadiums in the form of kiosks and such for people to place bets. People are sitting in the stadium with their phones placing bets. I was at a game recently with some young men. They were just rallying around their parlay, and oh my God, we hit this and that. And if he strikes out one more guy, I get $6,000.
You know what's
I can't
interesting?
imagine a day and age like this where people are
Yeah.
sitting there with their phone, placing and making bets.
Yeah. We are certainly living in different times. I have somewhat of a hot take here when it comes to this. What do I think will happen? Like how do I think they'll handle this? I think they'll try to squash it as much as possible, bury it with opening day stuff, other stories. I think they're mistaken. I think if I was in there, I would argue, I would lobby for the complete opposite approach. I would say, shoot, let's take advantage of this. Like if I'm MLB, I'm using this opportunity. I mentioned it in the prior episode. I would use this opportunity to get extra societal eyeballs, right? Make it the Shohei legal battle thing. Make it must see TV. That every time Shohei is at bat or the Dodgers are playing, should be like a whole thing, or like everyone's in it. It's OJ Bronco, White Bronco time, right? Why not? This is like you just said. This is clearly a topic, sports betting, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's been accepted within broader sectors of society. Like, do not shy away from it. Why? Like, what I would say away with the old approach of like pleasing the old guard and it's believe diversion to sports betting. We live in a new world. This is what people want to see. Sports betting and we'll get to that in our next topic. Sports betting is here to stay. And this is an issue that will, yes, clearly need to be better regulated on all sports going forward. But just embrace it. Just go roll with it. Roll the cameras. Why not?
Let's go.
Right? Like what
are the odds of that happening?
Burying it will be counter effective.
Yes.
Because this is not going away. It's the biggest sports figure in the world outside of Ronaldo and Messi. This is not going away. Run with it.
No.
I don't know how much of a hot take that is, but I would venture to guess it's probably the opposite of what MLB is looking to do. But so that brings me to the next point. And I mentioned this to you offline. I'm of the opinion that as long as it's not betting within your own sport, what can we finally do to, be done with this whole sports betting controversy? Why not legalize it everywhere? Federalize the matter. Like, be done with it. Get rid of these. Like, if you legalize this in every state, I don't know if that's whether federalizing it or because that's an easy choice. And that's a battle in court most likely, but every state needs to get this done and be done with it. We do that, these illegal rings, they're done. This is part of society now. Sports betting is part of society. We need to accept that. We need to regulate it and monetize it if you're a state. That's my take.
And that's what they're doing with the advertising partners now. Is they're monetizing it. They're able to take sports betting now and offer it to people outside the game. There's baseball betting going on constantly. You're looking at the lines and stuff being shared. It's changed. I mean, as a kid growing up, my dad and people he knew had their local guy that they all placed their bets through, and there was always somebody playing the weekend card of football games, hey, we're putting this for this against that, and that was all under the table, and guys who did handshake deals at bars, guys coming out looking to break legs. It's not that anymore. Now it's these corporations behind it, these large corporations that are funding it. Some of them are offshore, though. That's the one scary thing. The only thing that really makes a big difference is making sure that if you're setting up a thing like this, you're also setting up a way for guys to get help when they need it, for
Right.
people to get help. If you're going to gamble, if you're going to set up a gambling institution, you need to take a large part of that earnings and fund addiction and recovery for that. That's the dark part of it, and
It
that's
is.
where you could
Yeah.
see guys going down the wrong way.
It
You've
is a
seen that in
dark
the
path,
past.
but like anything, alcohol
Yep.
is a dark path.
Oh,
Smoking is a dark path. So I'm of the opinion that this is part of society. This is correct. Addictive behavior at its worst. I understand that. And so you always, as an industry that will become more and more regulated, you will have to take those measures to make sure that you're funding, you know,
more than
institutions
just
that
a commercial
take
that
them.
says, "Hey, if you have a problem, call 1-800
They already
I
do. They
bet."
already do put a lot of that into
Yeah.
the fine print, and maybe that has to be less fine and more more like bigger print, right?
Yep.
But I get your point. But it's also it's not. It's just part of society,
It is.
like
It
alcohol and
truly is.
smoking, and so
I look at the advent of the casinos here. The
right.
fact that my mom is a high roller at multiple casinos, something I don't share a lot, but she's
Yeah,
out there right time.
working the
If you're gonna
spot.
have an addiction, you should have a better addiction.
I agree, man. We have the best addiction that there is.
Yeah,
Sports cards.
it's we sit here, and at the end of the day, you still have something tangible in your hand here. Uh,
Yes.
that
And if done right, it could
it's
be
fun.
both fun. If done right, it could be both fun, and I wouldn't say lucrative, but it could be. It doesn't have to hurt your pockets if done right.
Correct.
Let's just say that, and still have fun, collect what you like, spend your money wisely.
Yeah.
I'd rather spend it wisely and have some fun than like purchasing alcohol or
Uh,
cigarettes. But
Absolutely.
let's not get that dark. However, I will say this. I think this speaks to a high level of hypocrisy within society. The fact that we're having this, and I mentioned it just to continue in that line of thinking of like, why not be done with this and legalize it finally? Because this is a huge hypocrisy. The fact that this is an issue is a huge hypocrisy. Everyone does. If we even let's just pretend that Shohei did this, right? And this is what we're talking about. This because if it was just Ipe, this would have been a lot. This is not a story. It's the fact that Shohei's behind illegally financing. But Shohei potentially is behind aiding and abetting, if you will,
Yeah.
complicit to a crime, right? Aiding and abetting or financing, paying off an illegal gambling ring. This is why. However, if Shohei, like, listen, everyone plays fantasy for money,
Yep.
whether with your friends or with whoever, DraftKings or whatever. Everyone has these sort of side bets and what have you, and that's not regulated. So it's a huge hypocrisy to think that Shohei would be any different. Why can't he just place a few bucks, place a wager on the soccer game or whatever? Like, what's the hypocrisy? This wouldn't be an issue if he didn't pay an illegal ring. So let's get rid of that illegality. Otherwise, this is a huge hypocrisy.
And I was just thinking about something. If I'm not mistaken, Mantle and Mays got paid money by a casino to be down there and host the stuff, so they weren't welcomed at things within MLB for a while. If I'm not mistaken, if I remember that right,
Okay.
I'm gonna have to look that up. But again, that was them shooting themselves in the foot. These guys had that betting or gambling had nothing to do with baseball, but it was their association with it, and that was after their playing days, many years. So if I can find that, I'll add that to our chat here. I'll put something in the thread about it.
One more thing, and this perhaps like it's a good way of wrapping up this subject. Man, do I feel society has to chill with like putting these celebrities and these athletes on such a high pedestal. Like, everyone needs to take a step back. These are people just like you. They just have money. We can't be like, again, give credence to that quote of like, you never get to meet your heroes, or something like that, because 9.5 times out of 10 they will disappoint you, or they'll point out, or a human like feature of them will surface that makes them not your hero, that they smoke, or they're cursed, or
Yeah.
they bet.
Well, and that brings us back around to guys trusting their advisors and things like that. Guys are going to take losses. Guys are going to have issues and problems. There's some problems you can't overlook. There's some things that involve stuff that we won't condone as a society. But, you know, a guy filing for bankruptcy because he turned and looked to his financial advisors for help. You're going, oh, you're bankrupt. Well, no. I trusted somebody. Tony Gwynn was my prime example of that. You know, trusting the people around you. He went bankrupt all because he trusted his lawyer. His lawyer was out taking out loans and buying cars and stuff under Tony Gwynn's name. Tony had no idea. Next thing you know, all of a sudden there's no money left. Yeah. And Tony Gwynn, after signing a lucrative contract, was bankrupt. So had to remake his career again. You know, guys have to start from scratch. And society put a lot of pressure on Tony to present himself as a certain thing. So filing the bankruptcy is not the thing your heroes do. But he came back from it. He showed that, hey, I own what I did. Yeah. And if guys out there can own what they do, if they make these mistakes, that's where we can draw the line to put them back on their pedestal. They don't own it. They aren't worthy of that pedestal in the first place.
I really think that how this will all shake out, and we've got months of this to go. Months for sure. I really think this will be an issue of, I mean, deep down, I want to believe Shohei. I think, listen, if there is gross negligence or malfeasance from his side of the Ohtani camp, whether it be the agency or the money managers or whatnot, then this totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. So I want to say that it's looking like that's what it's going to be argued. And this whole theft thing, I don't know. I have trouble believing, like I said early in the show, that no one knew about this. I can see a scenario where Ohtani was not informed of this, that this was going on, and that somewhere, someone or some people handling his money did these instruments and had power of attorneys to do bank wires with his name and all that.
Just like the Tony Gwynn situation.
So
where somebody else had the strings.
That's probably what's happened. But oh my God. Wow. At that level.
Yeah. Well, like I said, Tony Gwynn went bankrupt because of his lawyer having the control of those purse strings and doing things without his knowledge. So there's stuff that happens like that.
Yeah. I think this is what it's going to end up being. Someone else is going to be found that was
complicit
with Ipe, maybe blackmailing Ipe or something, or maybe it has to be someone that manages his finances somewhere along the line.
And Ipe acting as his own translator for Ohtani without Ohtani being there. Oh yeah, he says.
So
what's that?
It wouldn't surprise me to hear
that.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me to hear that that's going to be the finding. But anyways, lots to do. Hey, we are minute almost 39.
Yep.
Go ahead, Ron.
Just one more quick thing. Mantle and Mays were banned from baseball because they served as greeters at an Atlantic City casino after their careers. So there was a period of time where they were banned from baseball. They finally were reinstated, but there wasn't even.
Do you remember what commissioner reinstated? Giamatti, maybe?
No. It was a long time ago, way before that. Okay. But I vaguely remembered that they just served as greeters, nothing else, and there was no sports betting at the time in casinos.
Man,
Yeah,
how times have changed.
yeah, yeah.
Listen, I think we covered everything that we wanted to cover on the Shohei front. Why don't we do? Yeah, let's talk opening day, and let's talk. I think we can spend some minutes and talk about. Let's do a rundown of NL and AL and see who you think will come out on top. How about this? You want to start with NL West?
NL West is.
Give me a good storyline and
I'll tell you what. The Dodgers lack pitching. They truly do. I don't know how much they can hold up in a multi-game series against somebody at this point. I mean, we're early in the year and they haven't shown anything. I don't think they're the front runner that they think they are. They've got firepower in that lineup that can hit the ball, but they've got nobody to pitch. You know, you look at that last game in Korea with the Padres where they had the slugfest. It was, I forget what the final score was, 15-12, I think it was. It was just insane. They don't have the pitching at this point to hold up for a whole season. So I'm actually pushing the Padres ahead of them in the West.
Wow. So I was going to ask you for who wins the pennant, a dark horse team, and a storyline. So you gave me a storyline, which is the Dodgers. Maybe as good as people think. And then who wins the pennant?
Padres? I look at the way that the Orioles have rebuilt themselves and are continuing to build that youth movement. I think they're going to do it this year. I truly think that they can do it.
The Padres, you mean?
The Orioles.
Oh, no, but wait. I'm talking about – let's stick with NL West.
NL West, Padres.
Okay. Padres. And who's your dark horse?
My dark horse?
For the division?
For the division, it's going to be Arizona again. I mean, they would come up strong if they can hold together again. I don't think they can keep the momentum they had last year, but that's a heck of a story that they put on.
Okay. So I'm sorry I can't echo your prediction. I think the Dodgers will run away with it. I think having that level of talent on the offensive side cures a lot of misgivings in the regular season. They just have too much firepower not to win the pennant. Now, I don't think they'll run away with it. So if I said that earlier a few seconds ago, sorry. I don't think they'll run away with it. I don't think they're winning 110 games. I don't think that because I think the division's too strong.
Mm-hmm.
The Giants are better. The Padres hopefully are better and have a little more chemistry than years past. And the D-backs are good. The D-backs are good. So I say Dodgers win the pennant. My dark horse.
Giants added Snell.
D-backs because I think the D-backs will be right there. I don't think they're a dark horse. Listen, they made it to the World Series.
Yeah,
they have the talent to be a wild card team. My dark horse is the Giants.
They added Snell.
They added some pitchers. I think they're an 88, 86 win team, possibly. Last year, many things went wrong for them. They added some pop with Soler, who can hit the ball out of any park. So they're my dark horse. Now, one of those dark horses I don't believe a whole lot in, but I can see a scenario where they can be a dark horse.
They could be. They stay healthy, and the addition, like I said, the addition of Snell helps him a lot because that guy can pitch. I've watched him. He throws a lot of pitches, and he won't take you into the 8th. He'll get you to the 7th, maybe. So and that's it.
I don't share your optimism about the Padres, although I would like to. I love Tatis.
I'm telling you, the pitching is a step up with the.
But they lost Snell too.
Yeah. But they added Dylan Cease, so we'll see if he can make up that difference. I doubt it.
I see them. I see Dodgers 1. I see 2. A battle between D-backs and Padres, but I see the Giants sneaking in there too. So we'll see. A lot of things have to go right for the Giants. I agree. Okay, so NL Central. I'll give you my take. NL Central. Okay, I think. Let me start from the bottom dwellers. Pirates are gonna be okay, but they're bottom dwelling. Cardinals are, Let me think what I think. I think the Reds have. It's a shame they lost Marte for a significant part of the season, but they're deep and they're young but good. I see the Giants. Sorry, I see the Reds and the Brewers as the best teams. The Cubs are good too. It's one of those things. I think the Cubs and the Reds will probably, or the Cubs and Milwaukee. No, Milwaukee's in the down year. I see the Cubs and the Reds as the front runners for the pennant. The Pirates are probably better than years past, although not ready to compete for the pennant. And the Cardinals, I see another meh-ish effort, a third place effort for the Cardinals. So if I had to say, I would say right now, Cubs or Reds, 1 and 2. Probably Cards 3. Who's left?
Brewers.
Brewers or Brewers 4th and Pirates 5, something like that. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
I'm just going to hit the top ones here because I don't want to keep going forever here, but I really think the Cubs did something right when they re-signed Cody Bellinger this year. I mean, he added a spark to that team. They were this close last year, and I think adding him back and keeping him there really upped their game, upped their clubhouse spirit, and who they are as a team. So I think that will help them immeasurably. So I see the Cubs sticking it to everybody in the division this year.
And listen, do not sleep, you fantasy players. Do not sleep on Dansby Swanson having another stellar year.
Yep.
Last year, I don't know if you've seen or researched the whole issue. He was dealing with a lot of stuff, living and playing in a new city. His wife was like in the hospital for most of he had lots of things go not his way. And I think he'll have that bounce back, that Carlos Beltran second year in New York season. I think Dansby Swanson is poised to have a really good team. So I agree with you. The Cubs are likely the front runner, and the Reds are like, in their toes. Okay, NL East. I think this is pretty easy. During the regular season, I think the Braves have ridiculous talent. It wouldn't surprise me if they win 100 games again, 100 games. So I've got Atlanta winning the pennant. Phillies and Mets. I think the Marlins. They're down. They're down year again. Although they made the playoffs last year, crazy. And the Nationals are better, and they'll start showcasing some of their players. Woods, I think, will get a call up at some point. It wouldn't surprise me if Cruz gets a call up in September. So they'll be a fun team to watch, but they're still 4th or 5th. The Mets, I see them in 3rd place. However, I have them as my dark horse because I could see a situation where the Phillies. Let me say it like this: the Phillies are due to have a disappointing season, a season where things don't go perfect for them at the end, right? Someone gets injured, someone is not playing. Like, they can't all be having all these years back to back to back where like they hit their momentum, they hit their peak at the end. Like, that can't happen back to back to back, right? Or can it?
Re-signing Nola for the big contract, I think, helps him keeping his talent there. The guy is good.
Yeah.
But the other guys are getting older. Harper keeps getting hurt.
Yes.
Can he play through another half season like he has? You're not going to get 160 games out of him. You're going to get 100, I think.
Yeah. They're older, not at the level of like all of a sudden a huge Utley and Howard decline, not that level, Rollins. But they are getting older. And they don't have any young people that are good. I think their center fielder, who's a defensive genius, is good and has some pop, Rojas. but it wouldn't surprise. What I'm saying is they're going to be good. It wouldn't surprise me if they don't. If they finally get out of the playoffs this year, don't make it to the playoffs. But they're better than the Mets. All taken. And so what I see, the Mets are the dark horse, because like if anyone is due to have can finally 3 or the 4 stars have good years.
If they can protect, if they can protect Pete and get somebody around Pete so that people are having to pitch to him properly, they can have a stellar year, because the guy can bomb.
They have many things that have to go their way, but man, are they due for something going their way.
Hey, let's have Lindor have another. He had a decent year last year. His first year wasn't great. Last year was decent.
And in his not great year, he had a WAR of like 4.2 or something. Yep. And last year, I think it was 5.8 or 6. So
if he continues, he's in
a Hall of Fame track right now. He keeps putting on those 5 WAR seasons. Yeah. What saves him and what builds his strong case for the Hall of Fame is his defensive prowess. Because in a bad year, he accumulates, I think it's like three defensive WAR every year. Yep. So I mean that will sustain you. Okay, let's switch gears to AL. LA West. Who do you have?
I would really like to see Seattle pull it out this year.
Man, wouldn't that be something for the hobby and for the sport?
Yeah.
Julio took it to another level.
I can't put up with another year of Houston, but
that's coming, my friend.
Yeah.
They have too many good players.
They did, and they just keep adding on. They've got a lot of people. One guy goes down, they've got somebody who can step in. That's one
Houston
thing that they've done.
Is the perfect example of immaculate roster construction.
Yeah.
They have role players. They have players that complement each other, and they have star power.
Yep.
Proven star power. Jordan is a beast. Bregman, your boy Bregman, he's clutch. Altuve, something else.
Yeah.
And they got role players. Tucker. No one's talking about Tucker and how he has like
one of my friends is all about King Tuck. It's King all Tuck? About him. Yeah, he had another solid year.
He's a fantasy darling.
And how many Pena rookie cards are you going to pull?
You know how funny it is? He's a hobby. He's a fantasy darling.
Yeah.
But man, he gets no love from the hobby. There's nothing sexy about Tucker. Nothing.
No. Straight numbers.
A darling. That's a sport and fantasy darling.
He hits. He can hit. The boy is a professional baseball player.
30 bases a year.
Yeah. He's a professional baseball player.
He's crazy. Best stats. He's a fantasy top 10, if not top 8 player. And he gets no love from the hobby. Okay, so I've got I think the Rangers will be good. But I've got Houston winning the pennant.
I've got Houston's.
I've got Houston winning the pennant.
I want Seattle so bad, but
I do think Seattle is a dark horse. I do Seattle will be right up in there with the Rangers. I think those two. This is one of the easiest divisions to predict because like the Angels and the A's are going nowhere.
Yeah.
So it's kind of easier to say who a dark horse is. I say that that the Mariners are a dark horse, but a real chance of getting in. The Rangers got better. I don't think Seattle will win the pennant. I'll tell you that. I don't think they have the chips for it. The Rangers got better. And the Rangers are starting and going in from day one with Mr. Gator, Wyatt, Langford. That dude is a beast.
Well, and Bochy's a winner.
So I think the only team that could give him a run for the pennant is the Rangers.
Yeah.
Crappiest division in baseball, AL Central. Who you got?
White Sox.
What? No, man. You mean at the bottom?
They are so bad.
Bottom dwellers. The White Sox are a hot mess.
Yes,
the White
they
Sox
are.
The White Sox are. I hope that Lou Bob gets out of there soon.
Me too. Let's showcase him somewhere. I don't know who can even pick up the pieces in that division. Is it Detroit? You think Minnesota's going to get it?
Minnesota.
Okay.
So
They're
to me,
also
it's clear.
bad.
To me, it's pretty clear who the bad teams are. Cleveland and the White Sox are the bottom dwellers. Cleveland did nothing to get better. They got some people, they got some pieces, but they have no pitching. And
White Sox losing.
Pitching, they have no batting.
Yeah.
I think the Royals will be significantly better. I think this is the year where the Royals, and our friend Todd is going to love this statement. I think this is the year. I think this is the inflection point year. I think this is the year they're not losing 100 games again. I think this is a year they get closer to 500, if not 500. I think they're good. And this is an inflection point for them. I have the Twins and the Tigers battling for it because I don't think people are realizing how good the Tigers can be. The Tigers got some pieces. The Tigers are going to get better because Torkelson will start producing like people expect him to produce. Riley Green is a really solid Andy Vance-like type of player who'll have very Andy Vance-like type of numbers soon. He's a mature player. He's not young. He's the 24, 25 years entering his prime. I think Riley Green will have a good year. They have some pieces on the pitching as well. I think people are going to be surprised by how well Skubal, the starting pitcher, does. They got Manning, which is a solid player. They got Casey Mize, which all reports are saying that he's got his groove back. So I think they'll be better. But the Twins are far and above the best team out of the division. Now, do I think they'll win 90 games? Probably not.
It's a tough division.
But 88, 87 wins does it. And okay, let's see if we can finish under an hour. And AL East, what a powerhouse. Who do you got?
This is where I was calling the Orioles this year. I really think the Orioles are going to be the team to beat this year. Yankees, they added Soto. He's going to put some pop, but they don't have pitching. They lack pitching, so I don't think they'll be able to step up. The Rays are going to be solid again. Mm-hmm. So, between the Rays and the Orioles, those two will be battling it out. Red Sox have done nothing to help themselves. Yeah.
Who's the other team? That's it? Are we missing a team?
We're missing a team.
Blue Jays. Blue Jays is always like the big question mark, right? Like the Blue Jays have the manpower to win 95 games.
They're going to be the Canadian champion this year. I know that. Whoop!
And they have
I got a dog here. Chips. Sorry about the.
No, it's okay. They have the chips, but somehow they don't put it together. Yeah, I agree mostly what you're saying. I do think it'll finally go the way of Orioles and Yankees battling it out for the pennant. I think a lot of things could go wrong for the Yankees, though.
Without the pitching, they don't have pitching.
Finish for the Yankees.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this: if Garrett Cole ain't healthy, they ain't winning.
No, and he's out right now.
If Garrett Cole ain't healthy, they're not making the playoffs.
He's down right now, and that just starts the bad luck. They did nothing to improve their pitching, and they had poor pitching last year. So I think that's just going to be. They add Soto, great. So they're going to add some home runs to balance out the home runs that they should have been getting out of Stanton, and they can't get out of Stanton.
I have issues predicting them to win the pennant because I can easily see them being the Mets of last year. Oh, they got Max, they got Mad Max, they got Justin Verlander, Lindor. They're gonna do great. They're gonna be at the wild card.
I don't think they're making the playoffs.
And obviously, Soto and Judge is like
that.
Well, between those two, that's like 14 WAR.
Yeah, you look at Stanton was supposed to be that second to him, so to help get Judge better pitches. Stanton was supposed to do that. Soto, you're going to finally get that because he has discipline at the plate. He'll sit there and take the walk where other guys are just trying to swing it out every time. Yeah. Soto will manage it.
But can they outscore people?
Not with Soto walking every time.
No, what I'm saying is you're asking them to.
Yeah.
So what are you saying because of this pitching? You're asking them to score what 7-8 runs every game?
They're going to need to because they don't have the pitching.
That's what I'm saying. I I put them at. I think they're in contention to win the pennant, but
Third.
but
My prediction.
but I can easily see them being third place. So,
Me too.
I think they've got the Orioles. They got too much. They've got too much, and they're young, like but talented,
And
and proven young.
and they're playing excited right now. They're playing with an energy that is going to bring them a championship.
Yeah.
I really think that's the big difference between them and the Rays. The Rays play in front of 15,000 people who are out and they're just going, huh? Hey, we're vacationing from New York.
Yeah,
We thought we'd stop and see a game.
No, the Orioles will be fun. The Orioles will be fun.
Orioles
I'm
will
sure
be fun.
happy I bought 3 sets of the Road to Opening Day sets because they're going to be a lot of fun. And signing Burns or trading for Burns, that's huge.
Yes.
Huge. So I got them winning the pennant, and I've got the Rays and the Yankees competing for third and second and third. Blue Jays, who knows? If anything, the Blue Jays may be just because the Rays, I wouldn't qualify Rays and the Yankees as a dark horse or not. They're good. But if there's any dark horse, maybe the Blue Jays, if everything falls in line and finally they do something with their talent, they've got some pitching for sure, and they got offensive pieces. But so I guess that's the dark horse, but we'll see. Anyways, we've hit the hour mark, folks. Ron, thank you so much for your time.
Thank
you. Hopefully this has been somewhat entertaining for folks. I'm sure we'll hear about it soon. But that's all I got, folks. Ron.
Thank you all.
Thank you all, folks. Jorge Prospector, out.